Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Technically Something, the show where we talk about technology, creativity, tutorials, and gaming. As always, I'm your host, Kevin Allen, and I wanted to start up a series or create a YouTube playlist all centered around how to draw. This is the first episode in that series. As we go through this series, we're going to go progressively from beginner to advanced techniques. This series is for everyone, but I want to emphasize that the earlier videos are going to be aimed more towards beginner skills. However, every single video towards the end of it will have some more advanced techniques. Whether you're just starting out or you've been drawing for a while and you just want to sharpen up your skills, or you just like the way I do my thing, stay tuned, make sure that you watch the whole video. For this first video, we're going to be starting off with drawing heads because, well, I like to start at the top and work my way down. First, we're going to draw a head that is straight on. We will also draw one that is to the side or at a profile. And then by the end of the video, we're going to try and do something a little bit more complex and make it 3D by doing it at a 3/4 angle. I'm really excited to get started. I'll see you guys in just one sec. Drawing faces, frontal angle. So I'm going to be drawing in Photoshop because I prefer to draw digitally. If you have paper, pencils, all that, you can still do the same thing. I do highly recommend getting a digital means to draw if you are able to. And if you're in Photoshop, what I suggest starting off with is creating a new blank layer and then test out your brush really quick. What you should be looking for is something that's pretty thin, something that draws like a pencil or a big pen. So I go pretty thin until it looks like this. Next, what I'm going to illustrate is how I'm going to be forming the head from a straight on angle. First, I start with a circle. Next, I do a square that cuts halfway through the circle and goes down, followed by an upside down triangle, and this sort of works as our chin. Using red here, I will mark out all the different sections of the face, which eventually ends up being a section for hair, eyes, ears, lips, and nose. What I'm going to do now is draw this out so you can kind of get an idea of how I structure it. And just keep in mind that when you're using shapes to draw out figures, faces, whatever it may be, just remember that proportions change depending on the person, the character, whether or not they are alien for that matter, but still, always keep in mind that you can change your proportions, and should, from character to character. So I'm going to speed this up. You'll notice that I draw the eyebrows along the top line that divides the circle, and the eyes go right underneath it, just about in the center of that square. Next, I draw the nose, and we'll go into further detail on how to draw each of these facial features as time goes on. I'm just giving you a quick overview on facial structure for now. I do lips in the triangle, and then you just kind of round out all of those edges until you end up with the chin, the cheekbones, and then eventually you go up to the hairline, and then you'll add the ears. And those ears should line up with the eyebrows and just about where the nose is. And the nice thing about Photoshop is you can always restructure certain parts if you don't like them with the lasso tool. So just so you have a reference, I'm going to do the same face as a male and female. And the changes are pretty subtle, but I purposefully made a very androgynous character here because the facial features are right in between soft and edgy. So this way you could kind of go either direction. But I'll just add some hair in here and then add a little bit more detail to the eyelashes. . 。 . 。 . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Now I'm going to add some hair to the male figure, and this guy just has short hair, kind of spiky and messy. And I know that not all men have facial hair, but just in case you want to add facial hair to a character, I figured it would be better to have it in this example. That's generally how I do that. So let's move on. Drawing faces, side angle. Alright, so we've done the front, now let's do the side. Using the same structure, I'm going to start with a circle, only this time I'm going to have a square that takes up over just a little bit of a half of the circle and goes down. Then we'll have a triangle, but it just goes off to the side there. And eventually you can use all of these to create a profile. But to get into better detail, I'm going to draw it out really quick, because another and more easy way, another easy approach, is to draw a circle, make it shaped kind of like an egg. Starting from the center, draw out, and then you can meet both curves together to create the chin. And then you can split that circle in half. Draw from the base of the circle for your nose. And again, you could split the lower portion here to have the lips. I'm speeding this up just so you can see the process. Now this part is a bit easier to watch than it is to explain, but it just takes some practice. All of the facial features fall on this curved line that I've drawn coming outward. And again, there is no such thing as the exact same nose for every single human being. Some have pointier noses, some have more rounded button noses. And with the lips, you have general guidelines on how and where they go, but in terms of whether or not they're big lips, small lips, or if they're not very full at all, or all sorts of different things and characteristics of your face. You may even have a longer chin, a shorter one, rounded, pointy. These decisions are all up to you. But if you follow this general format, you can at least get them in the right neighborhood, the right area of the face. Alright, now at this point you may have noticed that I drew a dotted line going down the center, or I guess I would say the cheek of the face. This is to mark where your cheek, your chin, your jawline, all of these things would fall, as well as if you had long hair and it was kind of flowing off to the side of your face, generally it would go down that portion. Also, you just want to make sure that when you draw the eyes, that they fall on that half of the face facing forward. A mistake that happens from a lot of beginners is they will try to draw eyes the same way that they draw them from the front, but on the side, and that just doesn't end up looking natural. But I added hair to our female character over here, and had her hair kind of loose on the neck, going up a bit, and going all up into just a bit of a loose ponytail. I decided to go in and soften up some of the features, such as the chin, and then, just like before, I darkened the eyes a little bit more. And then I also thinned the neck just a little, not very much at all. And with our male figure, it's a bit easier at this point, just because he's very bare bones. We just add the bangs and make it spiky and messy. And then I go in and erase the scalp, or the top of his head. And then I go in and add the facial hair. Again, you don't have to add facial hair. That's just something I did in case you wanted to use that option on your character. Don't forget to add a little bit of facial hair underneath the jaw on the neck. Hey everyone, we're about halfway through this video. If you're new to the channel and you like this kind of stuff and you want to see more, click on this logo down here in the corner and you can subscribe right now. And if you like this video in particular, make sure to let me know. Click the like button because it definitely helps the channel. And I think the best way to make this channel grow is by helping people. That's exactly why I made it in the first place. So if you know anybody else who could benefit from these tutorials and these how-to videos that I make sure to share it with them on social media and all sorts of stuff like that. Anyway, enough of that stuff. We're gonna get right back into the lesson. Drawing faces, 3/4 angle. All right, so this one can be a little bit more complicated, so it'll take some practice, but you start with a circle, a square, and a triangle, just like before, only I'm going to extend that line over to the side. And this will lead to our ears. And you basically use the same center line and add all of the features in right where they would be before, only we're gonna stick within the box that we created. It makes a lot of sense when you're staring at the example. But you'll do your brow and cheek lines, and then you'll draw the ridge of the nose going outward from that center line, and then just sort of connecting back. And as you go along, you can start to fill in the rest of the features. I'm going to show you what that looks like sped up. So I start with my guides, making a circle and the cross for the brow and the center of the face. Add in the chin line, the ear. And now I'm getting an idea of where my nose is going to go. And now I can start adding the brow, or the eyebrows, the cheek leading into the jaw, and I'm just rounding off as I go. If something seems like it goes too far down, don't be afraid to stay inside your guides. Just go with what comes naturally. This is the funny thing about drawing faces, is that you see them all the time. You see faces every day. So if your instinct tells you that the face is too long or too short, listen to that instinct. And it just takes practice. You're making a lot of new connections in your brain and how everything looks and how you convey it while you draw. So you can see now that with the lips especially, you have it longer on one side and shorter as it goes off. And this is because of slight perspective and how our faces are just slightly rounded. Not very much, but just enough to see that change in perspective. Once you've gotten the ears and chin and everything else done, you can add in your hairline, add the neck, which always goes at a slight angle. Don't make your necks go straight up and down. And I will do an example of both male and female, as I have before. Starting from the hairline, I just have some loose bangs coming down. And again, this is just my own version of a female character. Not all female characters have their hair this way, but we'll get into hair later. And then I have the other side go behind her jawline and cheek. This helps show that 3/4 angle depth. We'll add in that loose ponytail, and we're pretty much done. Add in some thicker eyelashes, just because we gotta get those lashes. For the male character, get that hairline, do some of the messy hair up here. And same thing for this male character. Not all male characters have to have long or short or whatever kind of hair. It just kind of is the generic idea I went with at this time. I'll add the facial hair. And it thins as it gets to the edge. Remember that perspective. It's going to get shorter the further away it is from the viewer. And then just add some details like the hair underneath his jawline. And again, I went back to my other character for the female. I thought her neck was a little bit thick, so I went back and thinned it up just a little, because she's not exactly a bodybuilder. We're just going for generic here. And that's basically it. But I have a bonus, and it's called racing. Now, racing is when you use a reference and trace over it. If you're using Photoshop, this is simple enough, but if you have just a printer, you can print out a picture, get a piece of paper over it, and draw against a lit window during the day. But say I want to practice a 3/4 picture, so I just search that, copy it, paste it into Photoshop, drop that layer's opacity to about 50% or so, and then I create a new layer above it, and then I can zoom in and just start drawing over it. A lot of people are going to say that this is cheating, but that's just not true. There are some people out there who even think that drawing from reference is cheating, and I don't understand this because the way I see your brain is it's a library with a lot of empty shelves where you can stick new books, okay? But the only way you're going to fill that library is from actual things in life and content. So you need to actually fill your library with real content first. You need to know the reference, you need to practice it, and you need to see it. So that's why the greatest artists that you've ever seen normally draw from life, or they sketch in person because they have reference, it's just in front of them. So don't shy away from using reference, and if you're having a really hard time memorizing how to draw a face, you can trace over it and muscle memory will start to stick. So don't be afraid of using this technique, because the more you do it, the more you repeat it, the more you will understand how to do it. And there you have it, guys. That is the intro video to how to draw faces. Now, I know that some of you were thinking, I don't know how to draw eyes. I don't know how to draw a nose or the lips or the ears or hair. And that's okay, because that's going to be the next video, is getting into the details of the face and its features. So I'll be creating a video on how to draw eyes, the nose, lips, ears, and we'll start on hair. But hair honestly could be its own video. But just like I always say, if you have other questions for me, make sure that you comment below so that I can answer them. Better yet, if there's something that I didn't address, please let me know, because then I'll make a follow-up video to kind of fill in those gaps. If you'd like to message me directly, you could go to Facebook or Instagram and search Technically Something, or you could send me an email at technicallysomething.contact@gmail.com. I hope that you enjoyed this video and it helped you get started on drawing faces. I'm Kevin Allen, and this was Technically Something. I'll see you guys soon.